Hey everyone, welcome to another episode from Ampro Engineering. This will be another installment of the Buyer's Guide, and for this episode, we're going to do a head-to-head. Here we have the 1/18 scale Triton RC car by Eazy RC, and here we have the 1/18 scale FJ Cruiser by FMS. So the same company makes both cars. We've just got the lower end and the higher end version. The price differences aren't that great. From what I can tell, this is around $140. And this one's averaging about $170, $180. And let's see where we're getting that difference. We'll start with the FJ Cruiser. First things first, it is called an FJ Cruiser. So this one here is actually licensed by Toyota. You can see that it has a little Toyota grill badge emblem there. And I have said this a million times, I adore the packaging for these FMS vehicles because this can be kept forever and it's a great place to store your car. So we'll remove the vehicle from the body. This thing weighs a ton. Boy, that's heavy. Here is our charger. I already have another one of these FMS remotes for the Chevy K10, but this is very cool. So it's a pretty basic remote. I'm curious if this has any additional functionality. Here's our instruction manual. We'll put this little guy aside for the time being and take a look at the Eazy RC. Opening this package up. We have reviewed a few of the Eazy RC vehicles on this channel before, and I'm already seeing similarities of that radio in blue. So here is our Triton. In looking at this, this blue is painted. This is definitely painted blue. You can tell by the texture on the hood. The white top is painted really, really nice. But let's ignore that for now. Grab our radio, instructions. Checking out both cars, we can see that the details on these things are excellent. This is painted blue with a white painted top. I'm actually curious if the top... Oh, okay. The top... Yeah, it's got orange peel. It's got a good paint to it. The top is a separately molded part. It is screwed in here. That's why we're getting these perfect paint lines. The yellow one is also painted. It really gives it an expensive look. The yellow, I'm not the biggest fan. It's simply a preference. I think it's because I've reviewed so many of these yellow FMS and Eazy RC cars. I'm just not a huge fan. This blue, on the other hand, looks sensational. What's interesting is they've gone to the trouble of adding different features here. So you can see that the fender flare on the front is different than the one over here. This vehicle here by FMS has a snorkel, whereas the Eazy RC does not. They share the exact same sticker on the hood to peel. Ugh, I hate these dumb things. And we'll peel this one. Oh, this one's actually stuck too. Peel these off slowly because they tend to leave adhesive there. This has done it pretty well. It's interesting that the hood has actually kind of brought this leading edge. I don't know if the real truck does that as well, but I've never opened the hood on an FJ Cruiser. Looking in here, we do have different PCBs, which makes sense. So I'm going to assume that we're going to get different functionality with the two cars. Battery packs appear to be identical. And as usual, this is just always such a grievance to me. I hate how the battery is in there. It just seems kind of an afterthought. But for both battery packs, we are 380 milliamp lithium polymer batteries. And remember that if you're going to store these, you want to store them at about 3.85 roughly volts for optimal storage so that the cells don't degrade. You don't want to store them full and you don't want to store them empty. Here is our power switch here. Again, total afterthought, which seems to be a commonality here with these vehicles. Power switch here is on the PCB, if you can see it right there. We do have some empty ports there, I suspect, for additional features that other variants of these vehicles may have. And again, in looking at additional features on the cars, they are sharing the same rocker panels with the little steps. On this side here, all of the fender flares are identical. Rotating the vehicle. This one here has a bit more detail. It's got the really nice FJ Cruiser emblem in chrome. We've got a license plate. None of that resides here. Super nice detail on this tiny little wiper. That is exceptional. Flipping it over, full 4-link. The suspension on these always feels really good. Now, these are not dampened shocks. They are simply a spring, and they seem to behave quite well. This truck has absolutely no interior, so we are getting a more cost-cut variant. There is a inner chassis, so that'll keep that area a bit cleaner. But on this one here, we do see that there is. I'm not going to call it a full interior because the door panels are lacking, but it is definitely a full depth interior with a dashboard. If you can see that, it's more than adequate on this vehicle. Right now, it looks like the main differences are snorkel, interior, different bumper, additional lights here. Actually, no, it's got some fog lights right there. I'm suspecting, yeah, these don't light up, which is a shame. I'm going to find it very unlikely that any of these light up also, although they do have lenses. You know, there's little ports on the back here that will allow you to do that yourself, but they don't come that way. Let's put some batteries in here and see how they behave. This radio here takes 3 AA batteries, conventionally installed underneath here when you remove the little screw. This radio here takes 4 AAA batteries. They're tucked in this little hole here, and the only way that you'll denote the polarity is by looking up here, which is kind of annoying. So that will clip in place, and you've got this auxiliary door. It's a very peculiar design, but I really like this radio, and I love the fact that it actually has a foam grip. We'll start with the FMS. Turn the radio on. Got this little door here at the back. Power on. These cool little headlight things come on there, which I really dig. Turn the car on. Okay, so the car is on. We'll shut the hood. Left turn signal is operational. Tail light, no turn signal. And this appears to be just like the K10. The fronts have the signals. The rear, I suspect, will only come on in reverse. Yeah, kind of a bummer. Headlights, on the other hand, to operate those, you've got this AB mode area right in here. So set it to B mode, pressing the throttle trim. Get your headlights, brighter headlights, which is kind of cool. Well, you still have signals. You still have signals. You don't have taillights, which is a bummer. Press it once more. You've got your hazards flashing, still nothing at the rear, kind of a bummer. Press it again, and they're all off. So the signals will still work. No signals at all. And then we've come back around. And all off, minus the signals. Set it back to mode A, and now you've got your steering trim, throttle trim. There's a channel 4, channel 5, and channel 6. None of which are operational on this vehicle, but it begs the question, what are they planning? You've got your steering reverse right there, and you've got your reset right there to set all these back to 0. I've driven a number of these vehicles, and in terms of their drivability, they are sensational. They are very slow. Let's be very clear about that. However, what they lack in speed, they make up for by far in capability and torque. So they've got a good amount of flexibility here. I wouldn't necessarily call this a rock crawler at all. This is a trail truck, and given its small size, I would also call it a fairly smooth trail truck. It's probably also going to be highly useful indoors. There's the functionality of this little guy. Let's take a look at the Eazy RC. Shutting it off, of course, means you have to open the hood, which is annoying. Power down right there. Always unplug the battery when you're not going to be using the vehicle. Side note, I love that this radio still stands up. Looking at the Eazy, I flipped it over. Looking at the Eazy RC Triton. Again, I love the color of this. I think it looks fantastic. Let's power on the radio. I also think this radio looks kind of cool, but it also looks kind of cheap. Okay, so that's powered on now. Looking at the steering. Note this, as it turns, this stops turning, but the wheel keeps going. So there's unfortunately a lot of lost resolution here, and it'd be really cool to have this much detail over your steering. So that is that. There are no additional channels here. We just have steering trim and throttle trim, which tells me that there is no functionality here with the headlights on turning them on or off. Let's close the hood. Accelerating. Our lights work. Turning. Our signals are operational. And let's see if reverse. Yeah. Reversing. gives us our reverse lights, or I should say our brake lights. I'd like to go take these for a spin, but before I do, I did want to talk a little bit about functionality and what you may want to get. In terms of budget, the extra money that you're paying for this, I suspect that it's going to be more about the appearance. This front bumper, to me, has a lot more detail. The little lenses here on these fog lights are very, very ornate, very small. They're beautiful. This here looks by far more like a toy. These are gigantic and chunky. The bumper, it's a lot bigger. It's all gonna be based on what you want. There's a big hole here for a winch. I don't know if that'll be a future addition to the vehicle. Again, we're talking about a $30 to $40 price delta between the two vehicles. And it's really a bummer that this has so few lighting options, especially given the fact that they could have just programmed one option to have the headlights on and the taillights on all the time. I think it's really a bummer that it lacks that functionality. Is the extra money worth the lack of electronics control here? Probably. And you know how much I love lighting. I love this color quite a lot more than the yellow. Again, that's all subjective, so I'll leave that to you. Let's take them for a spin and see how these little guys behave. I hope you enjoyed that running video. The only problem that my friend and I actually had to create that video was making the video. We were having too much fun driving these little guys, and I have to admit, they are a ton of fun. The parts of the video where these things were driving through the trails were perfect. They ran great. Nothing really got caught in them. When I was trying to go up that dirt hill, what you're not seeing is that it was really loose dirt, and there's just not enough mass on these cars to kind of help them get planted. They were just kind of slipping and sliding, but they did eventually make their way up that. The question is, do you want one? For any kind of outdoor use, these are going to be great on trails. Areas where they're going to get good traction, stuff that's really rocky or really loose soil, especially loose dirt, these aren't going to do good in at all. For indoor use, these are going to be great. I have 3 other videos where I've reviewed this exact same chassis, and I'll have links to those in the description, so you can see how this exact chassis will operate in rocky environments, another dirt environment, which is actually probably a little more conducive to these cars, as well as indoors. So please check out those 3 videos as well, and you'll get a good understanding of how these 2 vehicles will behave. Price point wise, the Delta isn't that great. It's going to be more based on preference, and if you really do like that light up functionality. Links are in the description for both of these vehicles. I hope you found this video entertaining and enjoyable, and please stay tuned. We've got a lot more build videos, products, as well as reviews coming up soon. Take care, everyone.